Hello, everybody. Welcome to Project Console, episode 19. Uh, 40 months in the Poky. And before we get to our topics, like everybody introduce themselves.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Project Console. And today we'll be talking about more than just something that came directly to us.
Yo, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, and I'm glad to be on another one of these Project Console casts.
Glad to have
Hello.
you.
Thank you.
Our first topic is the Nintendo Direct. We talked about it on your cast. So we won't go over all the stuff that was shown. Was there any, 2 to 3 things that stuck out at you during this Nintendo Direct?
I mean, I don't want to go first because who wants to
That's
go?
your fault.
Well, I just didn't want to go first because it's just kind of
Okay.
let somebody else go first.
For me, I was interested in several games, basically. The Advanced War titles, the Mario Strikers, Splatoon 3, of course, and come on. Why am I getting lag all the times?
Yes.
Ah, come on.
Triangle strategy.
Yeah, it's just that, and sorry about the hold up. I might have a problem with Discord for a moment. How fun.
Well, that happens. For me, I wasn't really all that excited about what Nintendo announced, mostly
Of
because
course. Sorry, I kind of expected it.
Mostly because we already knew about all that stuff that they showed, except for strikers. And I never really I never really liked the console version of their sports games that much, so that really didn't do much for me. But a lot of the third party stuff was a surprise. Like I was not expecting Live Alive, and I wasn't expecting Live Alive to be basically like a like them to do HD 2Dify it. Wasn't expecting that. Wasn't expecting Chrono Cross because I'm not a Chrono Cross fan, but it's just I wasn't expecting them to to remaster that game to an extent. It's not a full complete remaster, but I mean it definitely looks better than what we got back during the fifth gen. I mean, just a lot of third party stuff in that direct where I just didn't expect it, especially from Square Enix, like Front Mission. Like I didn't expect that to be like just a lot of like RPG stuff where I'm like, I didn't expect that. So that's where I'm like, okay, that was a surprise. Most of the stuff Nintendo announced, like I said, I'm not really like negative on it. It just wasn't a surprise to me. Like I was expecting more Kirby information. I was expecting them to announce some Metroid stuff because that game has done really well for them. I was kind of like, well, why are you announcing it now? Like that was my issue with a lot of Nintendo stuff. It's like, well, why are you announcing this now? I'm happy about Wii Sports, but I mean, that should have been a launch title for the system. Like, why talk about it now? But I mean, that's just that's my personal feelings, and everyone can have their own feeling on it. But yeah, that was just kind of like I said, a lot of the third party things that I just did not anticipate were surprising to me. I'm like, wow, I can't believe you're actually doing something with that. Yeah, that's it.
I liked what I saw of Live Alive or Live Alive. I also liked what I saw of uh, Kirby looked Kirby looked interesting. Mario Strikers, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles 3. They look like they finally got a better hold of that engine since Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was kind of a bit of a mess when it came out.
I would reserve judgment just because the trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 looked great at launch as well. Like
Oh
the
no.
trailer for it looked great, but then you play it and you're like, oh no.
Well, I remember when Nintendo showed that trailer. Uh, this is why I recall it. You might have recalled it differently, but I remember that trailer when they first showed Xenoblade Chronicles 2. For the first time at that Nintendo event back in I think it was that 2017 they did it? Yeah, it was 2017. It's January 2017. It's a few months before the Switch released. I remember that game kind of looking a little like a mess. I remember it was dipping in the in the uh, uh in the trailer, and obviously it didn't obviously look as buggy when you played it, but you can see that game did make me pause for judgment when I first saw Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, well, I mean, we're just gonna have to play, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. They could pull the okey doke, but, Monolith Soft has been pretty decent when it comes to their games, so hope it's good. And, oh, so there's one more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was excited for it, but then I remembered just how poorly optimized Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was and how that game crashed on me multiple times. I was like, yeah, this looks great. But all the Xenoblade Chronicles games look great in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like, even the Wii one looked great when they showed trailers for it, but I'm like, I don't really. I'm going to wait till it comes out.
Yeah.
Huh. Mm-hmm.
So, anything else you guys like to say before we move on to our next topic?
I mean, I think we've all belabored the point that they're charging people to, like, you can either pay $25 and own the DLC, or you can pay $50 a year and rent it.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I forgot about the Mario Kart 8 stuff. That
The
was
only real downside to the direct, really.
um,
I disagree. There were multiple downsides, but that was the
Uh-huh.
one that, like, I mean, those were like that's kind of minor. But like some of the other like them just now doing a Wii Sports, that's kind of minor. That's not like, oh my god, how
Mhm.
dare they? Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. It's kind of odd that they're just now doing a Wii Sports, but that's just like a minor gripe.
Mhm.
Them charging people $50 a year to rent content, or you can pay $25 and own it. That's uh, a bigger issue in my opinion. Kind of scummy.
I can agree on.
yeah,
Like that's and the hilarious thing is them trying to set like the thing that gets me is that you have Nintendo fanboys because that's what they are. They're fanboys. Everything Nintendo does, like even when it's kind of effed up, like oh they make excuses for it. Oh, this is a good deal. I'm like you're renting content.
yeah, and you're and you're and it's only and you're paying more to rent it. Like, say it's like, oh well, I'll just get the yearly subscription to the Nintendo online service for the Mario Kart 8 DLC. You're just paying more to rent it than you are to
Own
actually
it.
buy it. But I mean, you could make the argument that, oh well, I want to play these N64 games, I want the Animal Crossing stuff, but at the same time, those people who wanted that stuff already
Yeah.
bought it. So
I mean,
I don't
like,
know.
if you're a huge fan of like the if you are a huge fan of the virtual console, you already have these games. You've already downloaded them and have them on your hard drive or on your SD card or whatever. So it's just kind of weird that now it's it's just really weird. It's just really really weird. Um, and it's just you're paying like they're like, well, if you get the premium version, you get all this content. But I mean, like I don't like the original Virtual Console had NES, SNES, some Super Famicom only games, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, arcade games, TurboGrafx 16. Um, yeah, and that's it. But that's still a decent amount of stuff, right? And it totaled like 473 games. And then we aren't even we're not counting WiiWare, which I don't think we'll ever get that stuff back. But that's still like a decent amount of stuff. There's
Yeah.
less than 100, like I would say there's less than 100 games on the SNES, the NES and SNES and N64 and Sega Genesis library. You're paying $50 for a paltry collection of games, and you don't even own those games. You're renting them.
Yeah.
But you know, you mention that to the Nintendo fans. Oh, this is great! Like these are the same. These are the same people who, when Microsoft and Sony were doing the same stuff, they were like, "I'm not gonna buy that." But now they're like, "Nintendo does it. Oh, it's okay."
And the thing is, some of them actually called for it.
Because they're Nintendo fans, so it's okay when Nintendo does it. Sony and Microsoft, they're evil. Nintendo, okay.
I didn't know if you guys watched the cast I posted. I won't say the name of the cast, but
No, I watched it.
you watched it.
I didn't watch it. I listened to it.
Listen to it. What were your thoughts?
What I listened to, because it was kind of long. But what I listened to, like I said, it's a lot of people giving, at least to me, it seemed like a lot of people giving passes to Nintendo for things that they complained about Sony and Microsoft doing, or just saying, well, that's just business.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like some certain individuals in that cast are very knowledgeable about hardware and stuff, but again, that's not our problem, right? So if you're gonna make these arguments about hardware and spec this and spec that, it's like you're talking to the wrong people. Like you're talking to I don't understand. Like I don't have the energy anymore to get caught up in this argument pertaining to specs and hardware and what hardware can do and potentially do and what it can do on paper. Like, it's an interesting tool for educating people, but trying to change people's minds about what the Switch can and can't do, and
Yeah.
then getting all sensitive about what some other guy said about the Switch, um, and creating these ideas like, oh, they're trying to destroy the Switch just like they tried to destroy the Wii U. It's just kind of like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of BS pertaining to the Wii U and what the media is trying to do, but they also did the same to other companies too. They did the same to Xbox, and they also did the same to the PS3. I remember early PS3 coverage
Oh yeah,
and how bad it was for Sony.
yeah. I mean, like people forget that when Sony, there were times that's when there were times when Sony stopped reporting how many PS3s they were selling for like 2 or 3 years after it launched until the numbers started picking up because it was doing so poorly.
Yeah, yeah,
People forget that.
yeah,
People just, they like, well, now part of that was Sony's fault because they went all in on Blu-ray instead of, uh, focusing on the games. They were like, we're Sony, the PS2 sold gangbusters. They got arrogant. Like all these companies, they get arrogant and then they get their ass on their shoulders. Like we can do whatever we want and no one can stop us. And when that happens, you wind up getting, consoles that have major issues.
yeah,
Sony was like, we're going all in on Blu-ray. And I'm like, personally, like for the PS3, I would have rather had a PS3 that was backwards compatible with my PS2 and my PS1 versus Blu-ray. Because streaming came out. And once streaming came out, it's like, who cares about Blu-ray? Like, why would I spend $20, $20, $30, $50 for a Blu-ray when I can spend like that same $50 and get access to hundreds of hours of DVDs.
yeah,
I mean, not DVDs. Streaming content.
yeah.
Like that's just weird. Like Sony was so bent and bound on trying to make that into a thing.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, not gonna take anything away from them. They're pretty knowledgeable about hardware and whatnot, but at the same time, I feel like they're a little too sensitive about when it comes to when people criticize the Switch or when people are critical of Nintendo in general. So
Yeah, I mean,
I don't.
like here's the thing. If you're saying stuff that isn't an issue, like if you're like, okay, well, like I like if you say, hey, I'm gonna sit there and say, hey, um, like if you go up and you say I don't like Nintendo's third party support, right? For the Switch. Well, that's an unfair assertion because the Switch has great third party support.
Yeah,
It might not be what you want, but just because it's not what you want doesn't mean it's not there.
yeah,
Um, if you say, "Hey, I don't like paying," if you say, "I don't like Nintendo Switch has," if you say that Nintendo Switch's online is non-existent, that'd be a lie. It exists. It's not great, but it's there.
yeah,
Like that's a saying that saying to playing the Switch and being like, hey, I don't like that these third party ports aren't 1-to-1 ports of what you have on the other consoles. That's a fair assertion because a lot of those games, unless they're cloud based ports, aren't going to be the same thing.
yeah,
They're not going to be 1-to-1, but that's okay because I mean, like the Switch doesn't have the same like as a console, it's using technology that was top of the line like 8 years ago.
yeah,
And so if you're expecting that to be like able to do the same type of stuff that, the newer consoles are able to do, then you're just going to be disappointed.
yeah, yeah,
It's like expecting a car from 20 years ago to be able to compete with a car from like 8 years ago. or a car from 8 years ago to compete with a car from 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like you have some unrealistic expectations if you have those types of expectations.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that, but you can have any type of expectations you want, but if you have those expectations, be prepared to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So and I know some people are going to get angry. They're going to be like, well, don't say that about the Switch, because don't say that about Nintendo. I understand Nintendo kind of got shafted with the Wii U. With like the marketing and
When you
people's
think on
perceptions
stage,
of it.
after
I
you
understand that, but they launched a new system, and a new system means that you can basically we're back at zero. It's a new start. Okay, it's time to judge them for what they have out now, and what they have out now is not all that there are issues.
Yep.
Like there are issues that the Switch has worse online than the 3DS.
Yeah, exactly.
Charging people for it. That's the worst thing.
Yeah, I mean, even the 3DS had more features like folders. So, I don't know. Other than that, is there anything else?
That's it. Yeah.
Well, somewhat surprising. Kingdom Hearts Cloud Edition apparently is selling. It's number 2 on the Japanese eShop, and it was number 16 last I checked on the Nintendo eShop.
Yeah, not surprised, because Kingdom Hearts fanboys will take anything. Like if Hironobu, if what's his name, the dude, if Tamura, whatever his name is, if he shit in a box, if he defecated in a box and then said this is Kingdom Hearts 4, they'd buy it. They love that mediocre series. Love it. I don't know why, but they love it. I am not one of those people. I have never liked Kingdom Hearts. I always thought it was kind of BS, but a lot of people love that franchise. I don't know why, but they do.
That's a guilty pleasure for me. But yeah, I wouldn't get this version.
Because you're paying to rent a game.
Yeah.
You're paying $60 to rent a game. You don't own that game. You're paying to rent it. And as long as the servers are up for it, then you can play it. But once the servers are down, you're just SOL.
Yep.
I mean, it's not even I know some people say, well, you don't really own a digital download, but you have the right to play the game.
I mean,
anytime you want. You can download it. Like once the servers are pulled for this, you're SOL. There's nothing you can do. You have no recourse.
I mean, at least you have bytes sitting on your hard drive. In this case, you don't have anything.
No.
Just access to a portal, which could, eventually disappear someday because.
We came out with our next Kingdom Hearts, with our next game that needs a cloud server, so we took this off. But those Kingdom Hearts fans, it's on the Switch, yeah!
Any words? Moving on to our next topic. Garry Bowser, 40 months in the Poky, 3.5 years in jail for piracy and for pretty much piracy.
I think the millions of dollars is more painful than the
3.5 years in jail.
yeah. Although I don't think he's going to serve all that time. I think he'll get off for good behavior.
Yeah, possibly.
Hope not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I said I hope not, but I already know what's going to happen. So excuse me for actually having hope.
Well, the thing is, I always find it weird when people are on the sides of huge, big ass companies. Now, to be fair, the dude did like basically create hardware that let people pirate, hack the Switch, which is Nintendo's primary console. You know, it's their primary gaming device, and that's their primary money. Because it's not like Nintendo's like back in the day where they had their they had their handheld and they had their home console. They're all their eggs are in one basket essentially for this console, like because it's their handheld and their home console. So I mean, that's where the dude messed up. It's you don't make software devices for stuff that is currently being that's commercially viable right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of a like that dude he kind of shot himself in the ass on that one. He shot himself in the buttock, as Forrest Gump would say. And I mean, he got 4 years plus. He's gonna get hit with that like $8 million of combined fines plus $8 million plus. So I'll be surprised if Nintendo ever sees a dime of that money, because people like this love to hide their money.
Hopefully not in another country.
Yeah, I think this is another country. I think it's Canada or Europe, because I know the group that he belonged with was basically they had done like a lot of hacking and stuff, and that kind of is what had, but
Yeah, he did. One of the things they did was that in order to use some of their hardware, you had to purchase a license key.
yeah.
It was pretty weird.
I mean, that's basically what really shot them in the butt, was when they were hacking a system that was being commercially sold, which is, you never do that.
I was about to say, where's the intelligence level there?
Well, I mean, it was greed, because the Switch is a system that's being commercially sold, and that's where they got shot. That's where they shot themselves in the butt, because they were basically hacking a system. Like, okay, if you were selling a chip that you put into a PS2 to make it region free, like, they aren't making PS2 games anymore. Like, the PS2 isn't being sold commercially anymore by Sony. Same thing with the 3DS. Like, the 3DS isn't being sold commercially by Nintendo anymore. So if you want to hack one or sell one or something like that, then I personally don't see a problem with it. I know that depending on where you are legally, but I mean, like, it's the reason why I don't really get on people about emulation of older software and hardware, because it's like, if Nintendo or Sony or if Nintendo and Sony didn't make all the money they were going to make off of their games from the 6th, 7th gen, 5th gen by now, then that's just their bad business practices.
Yeah.
Like, and them charging people for online services and such where you get access to these old games, I'm not cool with that. Unless you're selling the games. Now, if people are basically renting them, I'm not cool with that. But I mean, in this case, this dude was basically selling people, like he was selling like hardware to hack your Switch, and then he was like selling people a license code on top of that. So I mean, you know, the group he was in was they were doing some shady stuff, and they had to pay the price. You know, I'm not like, oh yeah, this guy went to jail. I'm like, I mean, Nintendo clearly wanted an example made, so they had an example made.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, yay, multi-billion-dollar company had someone thrown in jail. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't really see any reason to cheer for it. I just think it was just, I think it was just crazy what they were doing. I mean, if they were doing this for older consoles, for consoles that were not in, essentially they practically weren't making them anymore. Then I would get it, but
yeah. Like if you're
something
doing it for their primary thing, because like I said, Nintendo doesn't have a handheld anymore. Well, they do have a handheld. They don't have the three-pronged strategy anymore, where they had like multiple outlets for their money. All their eggs are in one basket right now.
Yeah.
So if you're messing with the Switch, you're messing with their money.
Yeah.
So this dude had messed up already when he was doing that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel sorry that he's in jail for essentially a white collar crime against a corporation that has billions of dollars. But I mean, you know, he messed with the bull. Now he's gonna get the horns.
Yeah. Um, anything you'd like to say before we go on to
For
the
the
next
next
topic?
topic.
Okay. I
No,
mean,
no, no. I was just completing your thing.
oh, okay. Anything
Jewel,
else?
you have anything you want to say? Is Jewel there? I'm playing a game right now, so I'm not looking at the thing.
All right. Um. All right. Next topic: PlayStation censorship. They've been going on a rampage of sorts pertaining to their censorship, and um, yeah. Apparently, there's this indie game called Martha is Dead, and they tweeted out the fact that they had to take certain
Testing.
yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Of all the times I have technical difficulties. And on the topic of Sony doing some stuff, I'm just having this feeling that they're doing it for some odd reasons right now.
So the indie group, the indie company that was making this game sent out a tweet talking about how they had to say move back the physical version and how they had to take certain content out of the game, which left people baffled because the game has an M rating. So it went through the ESRB. They gave it an M rating, but Sony was like, "Yeah, you gotta take this out." Apparently, the scene of question. Um, well, there's a mini game or a mini. There's an element of the game where you have to mutilate somebody, and that was
Ooh,
that was
cringe.
that was the um one of the scenes in question. But the problem is, again, it went through the ESRB, got an M rating, so let people decide if they want to play this game or not.
Uh-huh.
You know, if they want to engage in disturbing imagery, let them decide. You know, quit being the nanny and being like, well, we can't have this scene in this already M-rated game that just went through the ESRB.
You know what that's like? That's like watching one of those hard R-rated films from back in the day where they could finally show boobs and TNA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the movie theater's like, no, the TNA is too much. We're going to censor that. It's like, I paid to watch the TNA, though. That's why I'm watching this movie, because it's got TNA in it.
Yeah, and they already
Then censors from your rated R movie that you purchased yourself.
Yeah.
Well, they don't really. At least the movie theaters I've been to, they don't really card you, but they used to card you before you went into a rated R movie. So, this is kind of.
I've been carded, like,
Yeah.
back in, like, when I first turned 21, 18, I'd get carded sometimes if I was doing, like, a late night showing or something. But if it's in the middle of the day, no. They don't care.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I was using as an analogy.
Allegory?
It's kind of like, no, as an analogy. Because it's just kind of weird, but I don't think this is censorship because of I don't think this is censorship because of Sony wants to control what people are watching. I think that this is Sony cracking down on indies. Because notice, I guarantee you GTA 5 is coming to the PS5. And GTA 5 has that disturbing scene where Trevor tortures a dude. And I bet that's still going to be in the game.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Their censorship is in, like, they censor Devil May Cry. There's certain scenes where you see the posterior of some of the ladies,
Certain characters.
certain characters, and they censor that for some reason.
Yeah.
There's also other cases too with Japanese games where they censor them. So it's just, but they don't censor GTA because there's this, that was one of the scenes people talked about in GTA 5 is where you're torturing somebody.
Yeah. But, the difference is that Take-Two is a huge company. And, this little indie game, who cares about them? I'm not saying that me personally. I'm saying that as from the point of view of Sony. Because right now, like, Sony right now wants to make the PS5 the same as the PS4 was, where everyone was getting it. And, families were getting it because it was the family gaming device and all that type of stuff. It's really hard to sell something as family if you're getting like little $15, $20 indie games, $30 indie games where you're mutilating someone. From Sony's point of view, I'm not saying I agree with that, but that's probably what they're thinking.
If that's what they are thinking, then again, they're out of their mind because again, parents should be watching what their kids are doing. Like, they should have. You hear these crazy stories about kids buying obscene amounts of microtransaction, whether that be the game currency or game buffs, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just like, why didn't you have your credit card unlocked? It's like, why do you have your credit card
That's a dumb moment.
accessible?
Well, to be fair, kids get into things because that's what kids do. Like, kids will find stuff, they will get into stuff because children, that old saying from Jurassic Park where Ian Malcolm's like, life finds a way. If you tell kids do not go into something, they will find a way to get into it. Okay, because that's what kids do.
Only the smart parents will know to fight that and be sure that it will never happen.
That's why,
Let me put it, you can do the best you can. If kids want to get into something, they will find a way. Because that's what kids do.
Word of advice: don't put your credit card on these game systems. Use prepaid cards.
I mean, I would go with that, but there's also another thing where you could also just do something like like another thing you could do is just tell your kids, hey, look, you know, like, you know, like Mike, because like I grew up in a household where like, you know,
You're
I
a
got into
single
stuff.
kid.
No, I got into stuff because you know I was a kid and kids get into stuff. But I
As I
mean,
said, you're a single kid.
if you explain to your kids what's going on and you don't try it, like, look, this is a credit card. Like, it's like, let me put it this way: you shouldn't have to live in a household where you have to hide your credit cards and stuff like that. Your kids should know not to steal, not to take money out your wallet, like that. Like, you shouldn't have to tell your kid, hey, don't go charging stuff on the thing. It's like you should tell them, hey, you know, like I have to pay this, and I don't like. I'm expecting there to be a certain charges on here, and not extra charges of you charging stuff. Don't do that. Like, you know, if you really explain, because you know, if you really tell your kids, hey, look, like, you know, you're frank and honest. If you have a good relationship with your kids, they're not going to do that because they're like, yeah, my parents work hard for their money, and they don't want to have extra charges on there. As far as uh, Sony and their stuff, I mean, Sony's just like, I mean, they're very subjective on what they want to crack down on.
Yeah.
Like they're like some things are like, yeah, we're gonna crack down on this. Other things, not so much.
Makes you wonder who's in charge of the rating system over there.
I mean, Sony has moved towards really supporting
More Western developers.
more Western developers. So that's, you know, they don't really care about, like, if you're not like a, like, for Sony, if you aren't like one of their big huge sellers that's gonna make them a ton of money, they don't care about you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And the sad thing is that they're not even going to pretend to care about you. They can't even fake it. Because as a business, you're going to have to do, as a business, you're going to have to deal with people who you might not necessarily like doing business with, but, you know, money. But, you know, Sony, Sony can't, because remember during the PS4, when the PS4 didn't have jack squat to show, Sony was all like, yeah, we care about indies, the indie place. And now they're going after indies. I mean, but then we saw that thing a few months ago where like it came out that indies were having a real problem getting in touch with people at Sony because Sony just didn't care.
I heard.
Oh, yeah. Like indies were like, yeah, we're having difficulty getting in touch with people. Like we call people, they don't say jack squat.
It's more like customer service in certain stores.
Yeah, basically. So I mean, Sony.
So worse because I think that you have to go over it by phone.
I mean, I keep on saying this to people. Sony does not care. Like Sony cares about what you can do for them. They don't care about anything but what you can do for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's...
You know, it's like that song by Janet Jackson back in the 80s. What have you done for me lately? Dun, 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 dun. That's all they care about. It's what have you done for me lately with Sony?
I know in the beginning during the PS4, they really pushed indie games, and then once the AAA games started to pour in, they're like, indies? Nah, we're good. We don't care about you guys anymore.
F them. I mean, you know, it's always been kind of weird. Like, remember how Microsoft was all like, we're for hardcore gamers, we're for the dude bros. But the most censored version of Conker's Bad Fur Day was on the Xbox.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Kind of a funny moment there.
and the
And the thing is, it was No Man's Sky that really showed the fact that Sony was pretty much done with indies because they threw those guys under the bus. Like, we ain't taking responsibility for nothing. You're on
Oof.
your own.
Oh yeah.
Because, they pushed that game pretty heavily. And then when all that stuff started coming out about No Man's Sky and how it wasn't exactly what Sean Murray said it would be, Sony was like, "You're on your own, guys. Later."
Yeah, screw you guys. They were like, well, you deal with this.
F
I'm
this
gonna be
S
over here.
amount.
No. They were like, hey, you got this? Good. Because I ain't dealing with it.
Real quick,
Kind of sad, really.
Yeah.
Oh,
Breaking news. Nintendo tweeted
Huh?
out. Nintendo. No, there's some breaking news. Quick news. As of late March 2023, it will no longer be possible to make Nintendo eShop purchases for the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family systems. We thank you for supporting Nintendo eShop and Wii U and Nintendo 3DS family systems. Additionally, you may also look back on your time with them via various play statistics. Yeah, so just another just another sign of modern gaming. So if there are games that you've been wanting to get on the eShop, you better pick them up quickly because you
You
won't
got
be
a
able
month.
to get them.
You got a little over a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anything, this reminds me of something else that I probably will mention off cast.
No, you got.
Well, I mean, maybe when they take it off, they'll put some of those resources they were using to support that into making the online on the Switch better.
I mean,
but probably not.
It's not
I mean,
that,
you
but
gotta-
something more specific.
You got a year. It's March 2023, so you got a year. So you got a little bit of time, but
You said March 2023.
yeah.
Don't you mean March 2022 that we're about to enter?
No, next year. Next year they're shutting down the eShop.
Okay, I was.
They're giving you guys.
Okay, so you got a year. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a year to buy whatever you want to buy and download it to those
Systems.
devices, which is great because I mean I'd rather buy something off the Virtual Console for the Wii U than pay $50 a year to rent those same games.
Yeah.
Like, why would I do that? Like, why would I?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, you can pay us. Like, basically, you're leasing those games. Versus, it's like owning a car versus leasing a car. Own a car, you spend $35,000, $40,000, even with, let's say you get all of the options, $50,000. Leasing a car, you're paying like $60,000, $70,000. Why would I pay more when I could own it? Whatever.
Yeah.
You mention that to people, they get angry. How dare you, sir?
All right. Anything else you guys would like to say about the PlayStation censorship?
Not surprised.
Yeah,
because Sony has shown that the only thing Sony cares about is whatever is going to
Mr. Crab loves, which is money.
Whatever's going to sell their console. And since people aren't buying a Sony console for indies, then Sony don't care about indies.
Yep.
And the sad thing is that they can't even fake it because none of the third parties really care. None of the console manufacturers care about third parties. They really, I mean, indies. They really don't. Okay. The only big company that might care about indies to an extent is maybe Steam. Maybe Steam. And that's just because a lot of the like Steam has like a lot of those niche indie games that you won't find on Epic, you'll find on Steam. They give like Steam, like Valve gives those indies a platform where they can sell their games.
It's mostly third parties, anyways.
That is true, Jewel. Which is why I said, indies are third parties. They're just very small ones. But a lot of the niche third party games that you would never see on Epic or on consoles, you'll find on Steam. Some of which is kind of smutty. Your
Your
H
words.
games stuff like. Well, it's true. Like your H game stuff that's like, I feel kind of embarrassed buying this. You'll find it on Steam.
Yeah, I was saying that. I was saying that's your words because there's various descriptions for games like those.
Well,
I'm just letting you use your own.
Well, they are smutty. I'm keeping it 100% here. They are, like an H game is kind of smutty. But
yeah, I was saying at least if anything, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that there's more direct words to use. I think.
Do they have AO games on Steam?
Yeah, they have adult-only games on Steam. But I mean, the thing is, look, if you're an adult and you want to play a game where you've got people having sex, I mean, you're an adult. You can do whatever you want. I mean, it's your money. You can do whatever the heck you want with it.
Huh.
That's where people want to shame people because they like doing stuff. But I mean, if you're an adult, you should be allowed to watch whatever you want to watch, play whatever you want to play. You're an adult, it's. I mean, who am I to tell someone what they can and cannot play?
Mm.
And plus that gives a platform for people who make those games to sell, and not just those games, but I mean, like a lot of RPG Maker games, like that were made by people who were making free RPG Maker games back in the day. You can find those games being sold commercially that are polished up and have more content on Steam. That actually is a viable platform for those people. So that's a good thing, in my opinion. I know some people will disagree because there's always some contrarian person out there. Oh, well, I don't like it. It's like, well, fine then. You don't have to like it. But, it's there. So, because Epic likes to play this. Oh, we care about third parties. Okay. All right. Yeah, you care about third parties. Okay, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm being facetious. I don't believe it. Clearly, they don't care about third parties.
Yeah, they sure don't. And speaking of people who don't care about anybody, I don't know if you guys caught this news, but Gamers Nexus got screwed out of $500 by Newegg.
Yeah, I read it on PC Gamer.
Yeah,
I was about to say what. It's rare that I hear about Newegg because if anything, it's mostly a geek network.
No,
or
well,
a
Newegg
thing
sells
that's
PC components.
yeah. The
That's
thing
all
is,
they
I,
do. They sell PC
I-
components.
I remember years ago being warned about buying stuff on Newegg. I heard Newegg's actually pretty kind of shady. When it comes to buying PC parts, you got to be pretty careful. Like one of the things he said in his video was not to buy open box because you don't know what you're getting. I mean, you might read the description, but a lot of the times it's just false advertisement.
Yeah.
The thing is, right, so he bought a motherboard because they were having trouble. I guess they were having trouble with the particular part. But as soon as the motherboard came in, they were able to figure out the part. They sent it back. They didn't even
open the box. He didn't even open the box. Not just the motherboard box. He didn't even open the box that it shipped in, the shipping box. And
I
then Newegg received the box, received um uh the motherboard, and they said and then they wrote him back saying that the RMA was declined, that his return was declined because the motherboard was damaged. Lo and behold, like I said previously, never opened the box. So how can the motherboard be damaged? So then, he made a big fuss about this on Twitter, and they realized, oh no, we screwed over the wrong guy. He has a platform. So they tried to fix it and be like, look, we'll refund you the money, and we'll even give you back the motherboard. So he ended up getting the motherboard back, and they opened it up. He made a video, which I am sharing, you guys now, about the video. You'll find it. About the motherboard. The pins on the motherboard. When he got the motherboard and opened it up, the box was completely out of shape. The box is damaged, and then when you open the motherboard is damaged. It had like hair and stuff all over it, and
excuse me. This is from a group that works with tech, and it came out like that.
Yeah.
See, it's an open box. It's an open box motherboard. Open box means that it was pre-used. So what had happened?
Or no, it was pre-sold.
It was pre-sold. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened? I'll leave the video link in the description after the cast. Is that the motherboard was already damaged, and the person who sent it, I believe it was a MSI or a Gigabyte motherboard.
Gigabyte.
And, yeah, it's Gigabyte motherboard. It was sent in for RMA by none other than Newegg. Newegg sent it for RMA. Gigabyte said, yeah, we can fix it was the socket, the pins in the socket that were broken, that were bent.
It'd be $100.
Yeah, it'd be $100. Well, Newegg didn't want to spend the $100. It was like, oh, we'll just take the motherboard back. And then they decided,
and then they resold it.
And then they resold it. So it's just like that's just some shady behavior. Why, it's like you knew the motherboard was broken.
Why would you resell it?
Why would you resell a broken motherboard?
Well,
I mean, that's like getting a broken controller from a used game sales store and
reselling
it. Yeah.
$500 is a lot of money to get screwed out of. For
a lot of people, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I mean, the big issue to me, and this is my own personal thing, is like this happened. Like this guy has a platform, so he could fight back.
Yeah.
Think about the myriads of people
who are not able to do so.
Who buy stuff off of Newegg who don't have any recourse.
Yep. And there are a lot of
think about the myriads of people who are like, I bought this and they won't take it back and they're just SOL.
Yeah.
They just got to sit there and take it.
Yeah.
And that's very worrisome. And the fact that like they're fighting people. I mean, if someone sends you expensive electronics and they say, hey, this thing is not in the condition it should be in, and then they're fighting you over it, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, and the only reason something was done was because this guy kicked up a fuss and had the resources to do it. Because if he didn't have those resources, he would have been out $500.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's grocery. You know, that's grocery money for some people. You know, that's
$500. I mean, you know, if you have a large family, if it's just one household, then if it's just one person or one or two people, no,
I mean, yeah,
that's like that's a month's worth of the groceries if you're stocking up.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what the guy did.
Yeah.
You know, and it's lucky that he had those resources to fall back on, because if he hadn't, he'd be SOL. He just would have been like, "Oh, well, you know, you just lost $500.
So
Tough tatas."
So what is a product that you guys have bought that came damaged, and that the company ended up fighting you about the fact that it was damaged? Mine was a CPU, and I'm never gonna buy a used CPU again. Well, I bought a used CPU because, you know, I was building a computer for a family member off of eBay. Pens came bent all to hell, and then, you know, I returned it, and they were like, you know, we can't accept this because the pens are bent, and, you know, it was the picture, the way the pens are, the way we see the pens now were different than the ones that were sent in the picture, and we could have fixed it, and so we're gonna have to give you a, you know, a little bit of your refund back. And I wrote eBay. I was like, man, these pens were already bent. There's no way this thing was going to, it wasn't gonna work in the first place. So I ended up getting my full refund. But yeah, I decided then, it's like, I'm not gonna buy a used CPU, because you'd figure if you were going to sell a CPU, you would check, you'd be very careful about, that sort of thing. You would check to see if the pins were all right, and I guess things could have happened during shipping or whatever, but I don't know.
I mean, it sounds a little iffy to me that something happened during shipping, because typically speaking, before you ever, like with electronics, before you ship them, like if it's something's pre-used, you have to do like a verification check beforehand. At least because I've sold stuff off of eBay. I sold my old graphics card that way, my 480X. So it's just like one of those things where I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's going on here. Personally, and this is just my own supposition, I could be wrong, I think that maybe perhaps someone knew that someone knew that CPU was having issues, and they were like, I'm going to see if I can get some money for it. And they took it out and they sold it, and they were probably like, yeah, I'm going to sell it, and, whatever. Because, like, it just seems a little odd to me. But for me, it wasn't a CPU part. It was a laptop. I bought a new laptop 3 years ago, and I bought like a decent spec laptop. And when I bought it, it didn't have everything that I paid for, and they fought me on it when I wanted to return it and get my money back, because I was like, you charged me, like, the laptop model that they charged me for was like $1,600.
Yeah.
But what they wound up shipping me was like the 900 model. So they literally stole like $800 from me, like $700, $800 from me after shipping and taxes and everything like that. I was like, I want my money back. And they were like, well, we're having difficulty. I'm like, no. But this was through Amazon, and I got Amazon on it, and I got my money back. So wasn't that big of a deal. The big thing that happens to that I've noticed is that a lot of these companies, like, they're hoping that you'll just take it and they'll get they'll get their money, or it'll be such a hassle that you can't get your money back. They're counting on people like not having enough money that it's not going to be a big issue. That's what they're counting on.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like people. I don't like people stealing people's money. I definitely don't like people. I definitely don't like people scamming people out of like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. I get it. You don't want to, you're selling something, and say, for example, you made sure you double checked, you triple checked, you quadruple checked to make sure it was in working order, and then you sold it, then somebody got it, and you don't want to fit, they say, oh, it's broken. And you're like, wait, I checked this thing like 15 times before, and I made sure it was packaged up nice and tight. You don't want to feel like you're getting scammed, but at the same time, it's just like, you already knew the motherboard was busted. you, you already knew the motherboard doesn't work. You bend a pin on your CPU socket, because this is an LGA socket, an Intel socket. It's over. You don't have a computer. It's
Yeah.
done.
More like you got a brick.
Well, if you have the technological resources, you can fix pins.
Yeah.
But the thing is, why should you have to?
Exactly.
Why should I have to fix a pin?
Yeah.
Like, why should I have to do all that? Like, you paid X amount of dollars. In good faith, you were expecting it to be in decent condition. You knew it was used, but you were expecting decent condition, which means you could do it for some reason. But,
Yeah.
the thing is that, there's a lot of people there's a lot of people who are scammy and want to get over and do shady things. And it's not cool.
Yeah.
But that's the world we live in. There's always someone trying to scam somebody or get over on somebody or take shortcuts,
Yeah.
Sadly, unfortunately. That's my own personal opinion. But Joel, do you have a time where someone tried to scam you out of something?
Believe it or not. No, but it's getting a little close to that with me trying to work with a certain company trying to organize some deal, because it's been 9 days and they still haven't processed my order.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Certain company doing what again? Sorry.
I'll just say this though, that their call center is quote unquote busy, even with their social distance system going on. I'm wondering what they're doing.
Yeah, it sounds like they're being difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, but it sounds like they're being difficult.
I mean, if anything, I at least was patient enough to let them try to process it. But getting into 10 days, it's going to be a little bit harder to start raising a fuss.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these companies are just they're screwing over their customers and what for short-term gains, you know? Like sometimes you'll shop someplace even though the prices are a little bit higher than someplace else because they do treat you right versus someone just shafting you and taking advantage of you.
That's the thing. I'm one of their customers, and they sent me this thing that since they're processing the old out and about to transfer into the new stuff, they gave me the deal to transfer my stuff to my old stuff to the new, and I'm waiting for any results that are coming right now. Especially since I had to pay the difference.
Yeah. A lot of these companies are just they're being dicks, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's not. There's nothing worse than bad customer service. It's like even if the product just turns out good, it's a very good product, best product you have, but somewhere along somewhere, down the road, you start having problems with this product, and you try to get a hold of customer service, and it's just awful. It's gonna make you never want to buy that product, or buy from that company ever again.
Yeah, you're just like, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't really had a lot of that with technology, but I've had that with
Other things.
I've had it with like
A restaurant.
with a restaurant. Yeah, it was
Because if
actually
anything, I remember that
ironically.
you. Yeah, because I remember that you said that you had trouble with some food, and you were wondering why you're getting sick from it all the time after you eat.
No. This was actually what happened is that I was ordering from a place and they were acting kind of suspicious, and I was like, I'm getting tired of these people always starting something, and it was just kind of like one of those things where it's like, when I went to complain, and talk about it, they egged me off. So I was like, you know what, I'm never going to eat here again, and I have not been back there. I was like, you know what, I don't need this.
That's crazy.
If you're gonna take my money and then like won't even, because the thing, what people don't understand is that sometimes, like, even if you pretend to listen to your customers, that can that can make them feel like that's better than just ignoring them or pretending like they don't have a problem, because bad customer service can kill your business faster than a bad product.
Because if anything, I think about it, it's one thing that a product can improve over time, like how some restaurants improve their food's flavor. But if I got it right, if the employees that work there are kind of a pain to work with, that could actually ruin things a lot more, right?
Yeah, bad customers can ruin your business faster than
I thought it was bad employees.
sorry, bad employees can ruin your business faster than a bad product, because people want to feel like when they buy a product, they want to feel like because thing is they could spend their money anywhere. Like a grocery store. You can spend your money, at any grocery store in your area, right? But you choose to go someplace else.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. That's my thing. I would just say people need to quit, like, these businesses need to stop messing with people and pay people a decent wage.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's hard for some. I mean, I don't know where the decent wage thing came up. People need to understand that. I don't know why they don't do it, but the way I look at it is, if I can run a business and pay people a decent wage, then why can't these people? Like, what is so hard? And if the only way you can make money is by messing over your employees, then maybe you shouldn't be in business. Go do something else. Go. Because people don't want to deal with people. Don't. There's too, like, Newegg did that stuff, but there's too many other places where you can buy stuff that Newegg sells. There's eBay. There's other there's other places where you can buy parts like that, like, where your money's going to be treated with greater respect. So,
or at least feel a lot different than what you've been currently using.
well, just any of that. It's just one of those things where it's like, clearly these people don't understand. They don't get it. Or maybe they do get it and they're just being D-bags about it. I don't know. Some people just are kind of jerks about the whole thing.
Your mileage may vary.
Some businesses don't understand that you have to treat your customers well. If you can't treat your customers well, then you shouldn't be in business.
Yeah.
Go do something else. I don't know what, but go do something else.
All right. Well, for our last topic of the night, Lost Ark is it's a free to play MMO that was in South Korea. It came out 2018 and it was released in the West through Amazon Gaming, published by Amazon Gaming, and a couple days ago. It came out February 11th, and I started playing it, and it's pretty decent.
Since you two are into that, I think I'll keep quiet for now, because I try to evade MMOs.
No, I haven't played it.
Time sinks and all.
I've seen it. I haven't played it. I know a lot of people like it, so I'm not gonna be like, oh my god. But
I find it pretty good. It's not too ridiculous about how it handles its free to play stuff. It's pretty easy to get into. They don't have, you level up fairly, especially at the beginning of the game, you level up at a decent rate. So you don't have to do all this stuff to try to level up. Like, obviously, the game really opens up when you max out your level, because then it becomes about searching for gear and customizing your gear.
So
And
that's how the game is built. It's not built around zones. It's like once you go through the story and then you max out your level, and then it's about gear to boost your stats even beyond what leveling can do.
yeah, yeah. So
All right.
yeah, that's essentially what the game is. It's pretty fun
I'm
to play
guessing the.
if you're.
No, I was just saying. I'm guessing the free to play mechanics really kick in when you have to get gear.
Yeah, um, but it's not. I mean,
Egregious.
as long as you just, as far as I understand, as long as you play the game and because they have certain activities where you can earn various different currencies like gold, uh, and whatnot. Because obviously there's different currencies. Like a lot of MMOs have multiple currencies for different things, and they have various events that you can enter to earn those currencies. So it's not like you have to buy, a bunch of currencies to get a particular MacGuffin to, you know,
So the
further your.
microtransactions are for convenience.
Yeah, it's for speeding things up if you don't have a lot of patience but have a lot of money, I guess. Um, if you like Diablo, this is a more intricate version of that game. Like, obviously, mechanically, there's a lot more going on. Uh, all the classes, a lot of the classes actually look interesting. Uh, there's at least a few that I definitely want to try out. Um, right now, I'm mostly playing. I'm mainly the martial artist, but there's several. There's like 15 different classes. I think including the main class and the subclasses of those classes. The male and females of each class have different attributes, so it's not just a gender swap. You're not just, the male gunner has different attributes than the female gunner. Same with the male martial artist has different attributes than the female martial artist. So I find that interesting, because you don't really see that in a lot of RPGs in general, where you have male and the female have different abilities. Where the main character, the male or the female, have different abilities, different attributes, versus it just being a gender swap. Um, the story is I mean, it's just standard fare. Have to find MacGuffin to save the world, which is standard for like a lot of these MMOs. But yeah, that's pretty fun. It's a good, especially if you I mean, you can either play it real seriously or you can just play it casually, which I mostly play it casually. Um, it's a good game to play if you like to listen to long podcasts and stuff. So yeah, I highly recommend it from what I played of it, and you're seeing on the screen that some of the gameplay I recorded. So
Yeah, I mean that's good. Um, I'm not against it. Like I think the more stuff you have, I think the more variety you have in the MMO sphere, the better it is. Um, you know, like I'm going to use an analogy that we all can agree on. I like Nintendo's 2D platformers, but it kind of hurts the industry that the only people really doing 2D platformers in a big way was Nintendo for so long.
Yeah.
You know, like if you had variety, you'd have different takes on that same formula. Some of which are interesting. Like I think Sonic Mania is one of the best 2D platformers we have had in a while. But it plays completely differently from, say, you know, a Mario game.
Yeah.
Like variety is a good thing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's where I think people kind of make a mistake. They always think that, you know, like gaming kind of like variety is good for gaming. It makes everything else better because you have options. You know, it's not fair that only one company might be making JRPGs at any given time. You need a variety of JRPGs. You can't just all have one thing be one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sadly, we don't really get that much anymore. We don't get variety. We get a lot of the same thing over and over again, which is kind of sad. Like that's not good.
Yeah, same thing with 3D platformers. You know, it was like sorry, why we have been seeing some of those come out in the last few years. It's just longest time it just seemed to be Nintendo that was making 3D platformers.
Yeah. I mean, there needs to be variety. I'm not expecting all the games to be of the same quality, but there needs to be variety amongst these different things. Like the gaming landscape was better when there were multiple companies making JRPGs, when there were multiple companies making 2D platformers and 3D platformers. Because now when everyone's trying to go AAA, you only get maybe 2 or 3, like maybe 4 AAA games a year, and because the budgets are so big, no one can really no one can take any chances, because if they take chances and it fails, they lost a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
So, but that's my own personal opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my own personal opinion. That's it. That's all I had to say.
Well, nah, I'll save that topic for next week. Is there anything else you guys like to bring up before we call it quits?
No, I got nothing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
I think we can close out with our usual.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us on Project Console. If you want to join us, there's always the links down below, and we'll be sure to join you next time next Tuesday at 7:30. Unless you're joining us from the BS Busters.
Great.
So we'll see you sooner.
Mr. Red Fox here. BS Busters every Wednesday and Saturday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And this is Kanoshi Mito. Here to catch us next week for another episode of Project Console, where we will be doing our 20th episode. Not sure if I'm going to do anything special for that, but yeah, catch us next week at 7:30 Eastern Time. Catch you guys later.
Peace.